friends, family, all of you people watching today. Today's topic of discussion is going to be photography etiquette. That's right, photography etiquette. Let's get started. So to tell you guys a little bit about myself, I have been a photographer for almost 5 years. I got my first camera, official, like DSLR sort of camera back in 2014. So now it's 2019, basically 5 years. As soon as I got it, I started doing a lot of like elaborate selfies is what I like to call it. And I would basically just go outside, take pictures of myself, get my little tripod action on, and that was how I started. Slowly it grew, and people were asking me, hey, take some pictures. Okay, cool. And I would ask people like, hey, can I take pictures of your event, this and that? And here I am 5 years later, and I've done a wide range of photo projects, from portraits to studio to concerts to weddings to comedy shows to whatever. So, after doing so many, you kind of get to see a whole bunch of different people, especially when you're doing portraits. And you get to see different things that they think, different things that they say, all that type of stuff. So I got my trusty dusty little notebook, and I want to go over a few different things that I either get asked or people tell me before or after the photo shoot. And it's just things to keep in mind that when you're booking the session, this is certain reasons as to why we do certain things, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that I want to talk about is hiring people because of their style. So I can't tell you how many times I've booked shoots with people, or people have booked shoots with me. I take their pictures and they're very adamant about like, oh, I want this style. So I get that. If you're saying like, oh, I really like the highly saturated look, or I want it to be grainy, whatever. That's cool, but there are other photographers that specifically specialize in that field, if that makes sense. So, for instance, like, I had somebody who was just like, yeah, can you make them a little bit more dark and rugged? And I was like, I don't really know how to do that. Like, what do you mean? And of course, it's a game, It's like, okay, so you mean like this, but you mean like this. So in the end, it ended up being just boosting it out of clarity. And that was going to be the answer to making the photos look the way that this person wanted. I can do that. It's totally doable. It's not that difficult. But the problem with doing that is that you're going to tag me on social media and tell people that, hey, Nicolette took my photos. This is what it looks like. And it's not an accurate representation of the work that I usually give. Now, given, it is something that I can do, but it's something that, when you're hiring someone, you should definitely hire them because you like their style, as opposed to, hey, I want to do my own style, but can you take the pictures for me? If you're a starting up photographer, I guess that's a way to do it, because then, that kind of helps you in, like, figuring out, like, different editing techniques and things like that. But if you're hiring someone who's worked in the field for a little bit, that's something to consider. The second thing that I want to talk to you guys about is post-editing photos. So as photographers, we work very, 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 very hard to achieve a certain look. Every photographer, as stated before, has their own style. It's great, it's fantastic, cool. We spend sometimes a few days to a few weeks to editing photos for people, and you send it to them and they're like, oh my god, I love it, this looks amazing, I just can't wait to post and share. And you're like, oh my god, yay, wow, I'm so glad that you like them. A few days pass by, you're tagged in a photo, you look at it, and that has a whole bunch of edits on it from Instagram. No disrespect, I get it, it's like, I think it looks good because it fits my feed, or if it's like whatever. It's something to discuss before you post the photo. I've had many people who, after I've edited their photos, they say, hey, can I make a few minor adjustments and, make it look like this? And they'll send me a picture. I say, you know what, that's no problem. Sometimes I'll have people who they wanted their lips to be a little bit more red, or they want just a little bit more contrast, totally fine. But I'm talking about people who add an additional entire filter onto their photos that just makes no sense. And again, it goes into the representation thing. As photographers, we have a certain vision on how we want to represent ourselves, and if you're going to be tagging and saying, hey, Nicolette took these pictures, again, it's not an accurate representation, and it makes me look bad. It makes the photographer look bad. So it's something to consider. Do not add your own filters, because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna make it look like shit. And it's awkward. Like, what am I supposed to tell you? Like, hey, can you know what I'm saying? Can you no, just don't do it, please. And there's ways around it as well. If you do have a certain feed, one thing that I think is brilliant that Kim Kardashian did is she had a post of Northwest, her daughter, and what she did was she had a campaign that was going on, and to fit with her feed, she brought the saturation way low, added a fade filter, all that kind of stuff, and that first image fit on her feed very well, because the image itself was super bright and colorful that it would have just thrown off the whole aesthetic. So then, on the second picture, when you would scroll, it was the actual image, and she gave the credits to the photographer, all the people involved, all that kind of stuff. So there is ways around it, and I think that if you're trying to maintain a visual aesthetic, do it like that. Have the first image be the altered image, but then the second image be the actual image that you're giving credit to that photographer for. The next topic that I would like to talk to you guys about is RAWs. I cannot tell you to this day how many people I get texting me, emailing me, etc., telling me, hey, can I get all the RAW files? Let me break this down for you guys. RAW files are not a whole bunch of JPEGs, are not like, oh great. RAW is a highly, it has a lot of information in it. The photos themselves have a lot of information in it. So your envision of like, oh, I want the RAW photo. Honestly, if you don't have Photoshop or Lightroom on your computer, which 9 times out of 10 people don't, that's why they hire photographers, etc., you can't even open it on your computer. So first off, just say, hey, can I have all the images as opposed to RAWs? If you're going to ask that question. Because the RAWs you probably can't open, probably don't know how to edit, so on and so forth. And it takes up so much space. So something that you might think like, oh yeah, I'm going to get the RAWs, yeah. No, it's going to take 10 years for me to add it onto Dropbox to send to you. Dropbox, WeTransfer, any of that type of stuff. It's going to take 10 years for me to send it to you. And in the end, it literally just makes no sense. It makes no sense for you to have access to those files. None. Second point to that. People ask me for RAWs, and I have to kindly say, hey, no. No. Because if you mean what you mean, which is, can I have the RAW images, the problem with that is that people like to take those images, and let's say they have Lightroom, Photoshop, all that kind of stuff on their computer. They're going to edit the photos however it is that they want, and again, it goes into the first point. They're going to post it on social media, and they're going to say, hey, Nicolette took these photos of me, don't they look amazing? Again, it's not an accurate representation of my work. So someone might see it and say like, oh my god, that desaturated look looks so amazing. Oh my god, Nicolette, can I hire you? I'm going to give them photos that look like my work, and they're going to be like, why doesn't it look like Danny's? It doesn't look like Danny's because Danny edited his own photos and he put my name on it. Or, as I said before, they could come out looking totally and then again, people are going to be like, hiring her? No. So please, when you are hiring a photographer, don't ask for the RAWs. There are certain times where I will say that there are loops around it, and that's if you're working for major companies, and per se, they needed images for like a music label, for something like that. Like, of course, like it's like, okay, yeah, you hired me, I took the pictures, here you go, y'all edit, y'all have to get that large information file to use to make these promo covers, whatever it is that it might be. But in the normal day-to-day case, if you're getting wedding pictures done, if you're getting corporate pictures done, you're getting whatever pictures done, family pictures, whatever, you don't need the RAWs. And with that said, that kind of concludes my etiquette discussion for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too harsh, but I do think that it's something that as a photographer, I've gotten these questions, comments, concerns on a multiple occasion basis, like daily. Every time I do a shoot with people, this is the type of stuff that I hear. So it's something to consider before you go into a photo shoot. It's something to definitely educate yourself on before you ask certain questions. So I definitely hope that this helped you guys out. Let me know in the comments below. You know, if I was harsh, I apologize, but at the same time, like, if you're a photographer, I know you feel me. I know you feel me. So, you know, unless you're a photographer, you might not get it, but it is what it is. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good day. Bye.